And we are recording. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I want to say good morning only because I awoken maybe like 10 minutes ago. Anyways, I got in the meeting at 5:31 p.m. Let's do a quick roll call with our names, people. And for today's check-in question, I'm gonna say, if you were a planet, what planet would you be? So I'll start first. My name is Kai, he, him pronouns, Speaker of the Senate, and if I was a planet, I would be Neptune because I'm pretty sure the inside of Neptune, the core is a big diamond, and I think that's pretty neat. Shine bright like a diamond. So, I guess I'll just go and call people. Reese.
Yes, hello, my name is Reese. I'm a senator, he, him pronouns. And if I was a planet, I would be, I'd say Venus.
Venus. I think that's like the first.
Popcorn Wendy.
So you can't do that because I was also going to say Venus, but hi, I'm Wendy. They, them, were she, her pronouns, and I'm the assistant speaker. Popcorn Mena.
This is so funny because I was also gonna say Venus. My name is Mena. She, hers pronouns, and I'm an SGA senator. I popcorn Matzi.
Hi, my name is Mati. She, hers pronouns. If I was a planet, I was gonna say Venus, but I'm gonna say I'll be Jupiter. I'll popcorn to Nila Bonet.
Hi, I'm Neil Dene. I'm an SGA senator. Pronouns are she, her, hers. I don't really know much about planets, so I'm just gonna say Mars, just to say it. I'm gonna popcorn to Julius.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Julius Gale. I am a SGA senator. Pronouns he, him, his. I think I'll be Saturn because it's different. Also, I like that mapping from a video game, so we're gonna leave that alone. Jessica.
Hello, hi, I'm Jessica. My pronouns are she, her, hers, that I'm a senator. And if I was a planet, is Pluto still a planet?
Yes. No, it's not.
Okay, then I will be Pluto. And I will pass it to Joshua.
Hi, Jessica. Hi, everyone. My name is Joshua Gray. I serve as the Vice President for Student Organizations. I use the he series pronouns, and I would probably say Neptune as well. I'll pass it on over to Candace.
Hi, I'm Candace Martinez-Down, Assistant Director for Leadership and Governance. I also serve as the SGA advisor, and if I could be a planet, I would be Naboo. Y'all like limiting yourselves. And I'm gonna call on B. Have you gone? Naboo is from Star Wars. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Beatrice Gutierrez Malagon. I use she, her pronouns, coordinator for leadership, and co-advisor to SJ Senate. The answer for me would be Saturn. I love all the rings that it has. I'm a fan. Would like to skate on them if it were possible. They're made out of ice, fun fact. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it over to Z.
I'm Z, they, them. I'm a senator, and if I was a planet, I would be Haumea, which is a dwarf planet really close to Pluto, and it's shaped like a potato. I don't know who to pass it to.
Rashad, have you gone?
Oh no. Hi everyone, I'm Rashad. I am the SGA president. I use pronouns. If I was a planet, I'd be Mercury because I want to go really fast. I got out, didn't I? And gone. Hello, Patrick.
Hey, my name is Patrick. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a senator. If I could be any planet, I would be Earth because it is just right, not too hot, not too cold. I don't know why y'all were sleeping on Earth for so long, but that is what planet I would be. I'm going to go ahead and call on Maria.
Hi everybody, my name is Maria. I'm a SGA senator and my pronouns are she or hers. If I was a planet, I would be Jupiter. And I think I was the last one.
I believe someone has dialed in.
Yes. I can't see their name, but I call on them.
Or wait, Mati, is that you? Because I know sometimes you use two for, yeah, okay. Big brain. Okay, I believe that's everyone. Beth says they will be joining at 5:40. So until then, let's move on to our land acknowledgement. An adaptation from Dr. Jasmine Lee, Director of Inclusive Excellence, stating, related to our value of inclusive excellence, we would like to acknowledge that Umbc is built on the native tribal lands of the indigenous Piscataway Conoy tribes. We acknowledge the painful history of forest removal from this territory, honor their history as cultivators of this land, and respect the many diverse indigenous people still connected to this land on which we gather, even if we are virtual. Okay. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. I know somebody would like to make an amendment, so is there a motion on the floor?
I move to amend the agenda.
Hey, thanks, Wendy. Is there a second? There's a second in the chat by Naila Benet. All right. I'm going to assume general consensus because I don't see any shaking of heads or no's in the chat. So, what is the amend to be? What would you like to add? The SR, or not SR, the JR?
I'm sorry, I put me in the chat. I think this might be my first time coming to a Senate meeting, so forgive me. But I would like to introduce JR 07-2021, title of the document being the Student Government Association Stance Against Removing Free Hour.
Oh, wonderful. Joshua, I can't find the link. Do you mind just putting it in the chat for me, please?
Of course.
Also, sorry, I just realized I was on mute.
It'd be like that. Ah, thank you. Okay. Would you like this to be after our conversation with Beth or after this SL allocation?
After the SL is fine.
Okay. Cool. All right. Are there any more amendments? Mershad, did you want to introduce your resolution today, or for next meeting?
Wait, which resolution?
It's the one we talked about in steering committee.
I think that's Josh's resolution is the one you're talking about.
Oh no. the UMB.
Oh, I haven't drafted that one yet.
Okay.
After
Next
spring break.
meeting.
Yeah.
All right. All right. With that being said, is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
There it is. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. I'm going to assume general consensus. And with that, the agenda has passed. All right, let's move on to the approval of the minutes. I hope y'all had the chance to look over the minutes from last week's meeting. And check. Whoops. Whoops. Okay. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve the minutes.
And is there a second?
Second.
Wonderful. Okay. Now, general consensus. All right, cool. I'm trying to get Beth Harmon situated here, or I'm sorry, Beth Jones situated here. So until let's see if we can get her in. Timothy Lynch. All right. See, this is why you should come a little early to the meetings, because link trouble. Reese, what are you eating?
Yeah, so I'll stall for time a little bit, you know. So my mother, she's doing this event with her nonprofit organization. That's for I don't know if it coincides with International Women's Day or not, but they were doing some kind of fundraiser. And normally they'd be meeting up at some kind of local, not watering hole, I think meeting area. Have some speakers talk about empowering women within Howard County. But it's all virtual this time. But they're still doing like little meals. So she bought a bunch of meals. This is a fried chicken and some fries. But like the fries are like like cube potatoes. So they're just potatoes, they're not fries really.
Candace, I have a
I
question.
don't see that. Oh, so sorry.
Never mind. Candace, or anyone can answer this. If someone is not a doctor and they're older than you, but you don't know if they're married, do you just call them by their first name or their last name? How would that work?
What is in reference to what?
Vice President Schaefer reached out. I'm just wondering. This is just a quick question to solve the time.
You
Oh
could
yeah,
say Miss Schaefer.
Miss Schaefer. Okay, perfect. Also, she reached out about 3 hours. So,
Cool.
Joshua, if you wanna be in that meeting, let me know. with this
Wait,
resolution.
so for the gender neutral MX, I pronounce that mix. How does everyone else pronounce that? Do they pronounce it?
That's how you
Mix?
pronounce it. Mix.
That's so cool.
That's what my sibling Maddie goes by, Mix. Mm-hmm. Oh, you were saying MX. I mean, I don't know if it matters. I mean, but I'm pretty. I think it's Mix.
What?
Nah, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Mix is like the gender is the gender like neutral equivalent to Mr. or Mrs. or Miss. So if someone uses they them pronouns or pronouns other than she or her, or somewhere on the binary, are not on the binary but are on the spectrum somewhere, you can use mix, MX, instead of Mr. or Miss or Mrs.
Oh, okay. I've never heard this before in my life, so this is very new information.
Happy to illuminate.
Look like it worked. At least I'm in. Hopefully Beth will come in soon too.
It looks like Beth is still having some trouble. Tim, do you happen to know which link you used?
Yeah, I used the last one that you sent.
The
one
last
that's
one
in the
that I
chat.
sent.
Yeah, the one that was in the chat.
All right, we're all in. Whew, that was a heart pounder, wasn't it?
Thank you. Technology's tricky.
Technology is the bane of my existence, but
I hear that.
yeah, I apologize so deeply about the whole WebEx issues. But yeah, Beth, Tim, welcome, and
Thank you.
if you want to introduce yourself, the floor is all yours.
Beth, you there?
I am here. I can
Okay.
see some of you. I don't see all of you, but
Okay.
I assume we've got a pretty good group going here.
Yes, indeed.
My name is Beth Jones, and my colleague Tim Lynch is also with me. We are both from the Office of Summer, Winter, and Special Programs. And so I'm here tonight to talk with you and get your feedback on winter session at UMBC. And so if I could, I'd like to just share my screen for a brief little presentation, and we'll go from here. Can you all see that?
I don't see anything.
Don't
No,
see.
not yet.
Well, I'm just having all kinds of technical difficulties today, huh? Let's see. I've got the share screen.
Okay.
Now we got it.
Yep.
Okay,
Now we're
great.
good.
You know, I can't see all of you, so I'd like to know though if most people are familiar with winter session, whether you've attended winter session as students before. Some, yes.
Yeah, I took one this past winter.
Great. Okay. Well, hopefully we can have some discussion about winter session. I want to provide you with a little bit of background about winter session and share a survey that we administered to both our students and our faculty in winter session this past year, and then open up and have a discussion about the future of winter session. So looking back into winter 2021, I just wanted to share a little bit about winter session for those, especially who haven't attended before. Winter session always occurs in January, and it always starts as soon as possible after New Year's. Typically what happens, New Year's is January 1st, and if the calendar falls right, we start on January 2nd. If New Year's falls on a weekend, then obviously we can't start until the Monday, and that was the case this year. We had a winter session that started on January 4th. It ended on January 25th. That gave us 15 days, and then spring semester starts the very next day. It's a very condensed session. And typically when students are taking classes, we really encourage you to take just one class in winter session. Here's what I mean by the intense session, the schedule of winter session. For a 3-credit class, these are our typical scheduling blocks. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 12:10 in the morning. There's the afternoon schedule, the evening schedule. What you'll see there is the class meets 3 times a week for a good 3 hours each day. If it's a 4-credit class, it's going to meet 4 times a week for that same 3-hour and 10-minute block. So students who are attending winter session are attending pretty much every day of the session. Just to give you a quick background on the numbers, the total number of students who were enrolled in winter session this past year were 1,924. That does represent an increase from the prior year of 179 students. Those students enrolled in 2007 courses. So, you know, seat count is the number of courses that an individual student would take. You have one head, but you can take more than one class, obviously, and some do. And so you can see here that we offered 115 classes. That was just up a few compared to the prior year. Here's just a quick chart to show you winter session enrollments over time. And you can see again the head count in blue and then the credit count in red over the past, 10, 11 years for winter session. Most students who are attending winter session are upperclassmen. You can see here I'm sharing the data from both winter 20 and winter 21, and most of our students are seniors, followed by juniors, sophomores, and freshmen. Most students who attend winter session are in-state. They are our Maryland residents. We don't have too many people who are coming to winter session from outside of Maryland. For the past 15 years, winter session and summer session, for that matter, have been promoting 3 different types of delivery formats for winter session. And the reason we're doing that is we want to provide maximum flexibility for students. So we have seriously promoted and worked with faculty and trained faculty to ensure that we're offering in-person, hybrid, and online classes in winter session. What you can see here is the trend over time. The number of courses offered in person has been starting to decline. The number of hybrid classes has been pretty steady over the past 10 years, and the number of online classes has been steadily increasing. Now you'll notice I just went to winter 2020 on this chart. The reason being is because in winter 2021, everything was online. And so I wanted to be able to show you when we did offer all three formats, how that trend looks. And if you look at the enrollments by delivery format, what you'll see is an even bigger increase in the number of students who are taking online classes, and we're starting to see a real drop in the number of students who are taking in-person classes. Hybrid's kind of there in the middle, and it's also dropping. The growth is in the online classes. So we started thinking about this, and we wanted to see what students thought about winter online, because obviously, as you all know, this past winter, everything was online. And so it seemed like a good opportunity to be able to learn more about what students thought about this. So we did a very quick little survey that we sent to all of the students enrolled in winter session. We got 11% of those students responding, and we basically asked them 3 questions. Based on my online winter experience, I would take more online winter session classes at UMBC in the future. In general, my preferred course delivery format is, and we asked for a response to this question. In the future, UMBC's January winter session should be offered entirely online. So we wanted to hear from students and hear what they would say about this. Here's the results. We found that when you look at I would take more online winter classes, this group of students who are either highly likely or likely to take winter session online again is 79% of the students who replied. So that's a pretty big endorsement of the idea of taking more winter session classes. We also asked students what their preferred delivery format was, and online was the largest choice in that group of types of classes. It was followed by in-person, and then you can see the breakdown here of hybrid, high flex, and no preference. And finally, we asked students the question, respond to the question, future winter sessions should be entirely online. And again, if you combine the highly or strongly agree and agree, we had 70% of those students saying that they agreed with that statement. The next biggest group was neutral. They really didn't have a strong opinion. And then the smaller group were the strongly disagree or disagrees. We ran a similar survey for faculty, same types of questions. We had a 36% response rate. And we asked them about teaching more online because we wanted to hear from faculty as well. The faculty said, I would teach online winter session classes in the future. And what you can see here is, again, if you combine the highly likely and the likely, you get 90% of faculty who say, I would teach again in winter in online. And we asked them about their preferred delivery format, and we got 45% of faculty saying that they preferred the online delivery format as well, a little bit more spread out there in terms of the types of delivery they most preferred. And again, if we ask them to respond to the question, future winter sessions should be entirely online, we had 55% of that population saying that they either strongly agreed or agreed with that statement. And about another third were, sort of, I guess, neutral in how they were viewing that question. Here's the strongly agree, the agree, and then the neutral. So really that brings us to our discussion, which is the future of winter session at UMBC. What we all know is, and again, it's been quite a year, but basically all of the UMBC students and all of the faculty now have direct experience teaching or learning online because of COVID and the year that we have faced. So the question in our mind is, should we be thinking about keeping winter session as a fully online session? It does offer the most flexibility for students who can't easily commute to campus in January. As you know, with the exception of one dorm and the apartments, the campus does close the residence halls during winter session, so students basically commute. The online approach would eliminate the need to reschedule classes if campus has to close due to the weather, and that has happened sometimes. So that can be a little tricky in such a condensed session. And another thought is that a fully online winter session allows students to plan further in advance if they know that that session will be fully online. And we really do support the idea of winter session and summer session being available for students for degree completion. And so we want to do what works best for students. And so the reason, again, I've come today is you offer the opportunity to open this up for some discussion, and we're interested in hearing your thoughts. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, go back to the group, and I would welcome your feedback or your thoughts about the idea of proposing a fully online winter session in 2022 and beyond.
Hi, yeah, I'm Reese. I'm a senator here, and I think a question that would be on a lot of students' minds is like, if it's online, how will that change the price? Perhaps maybe in a downward direction. Of course, I don't know.
Okay, well, let's talk about price. Winter session and summer session are set up to run on credits, okay? And most of you are probably full-time students, so you take 12, maybe more credits in a given term. Well, obviously you don't want to do that in a winter session, so it's based on credits. The credits tuition rate are the same as the credit rate in the regular fall spring terms. And so if you were a part-time student in the fall or the spring, you would be paying the same amount for the tuition. What's really different here are the fees in winter session, okay? And it's funny, I thought you might ask this question. So if you took a class, one class in the fall, you're a part-time student, you take that class, it's 3 credits, you're gonna pay $1,515 to take that class because you've got, oh, I'm sorry, I should explain. I went back to fall 2019 because you know that because of COVID and the fact that we're not on campus, there were some fees that have been essentially waived during this past year. So I wanted to go back in time to before COVID so we could compare correctly what it's like to attend winter session versus the fall spring. So if you took that class in the fall, you would pay a total of $1,515 for that class. If you took that same class in the winter session, you're going to pay $1,175, which is actually $340 less for that class. And the reason is there are not as many fees charged in the winter session as there are in the regular fall and spring semesters. We don't control the tuition rates, okay? The university sets, the system sets that rate, but we do at least have lower fees in the winter session and summer session to the point where if you were taking 12 credits, and again, I don't recommend this, but if you were taking 12 in the fall or 12 in the summertime, it would be $1,420 less to take those same 12 credits because of the fee structure. Now, again, most students take more than 12. So when you take more than 12 credits, you're essentially getting those additional credits as a full-time student at no additional charge. And that's why I think a lot of students sometimes will say, well, wow, it's so expensive to take classes in the winter session. It's really the same tuition, less fees, but you're paying on a per credit basis rather than a full-time basis. So I hope that helps you. And I think it's important for students to know that about the fee structure.
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions? What about the whole delivery format? What do you think about that idea of students? Do you think students would like a winter session online?
If I could speak very briefly about it, as someone, I've taken 2 winter classes. One was before COVID and one was this winter. And I live on the Eastern Shore, so even the first one that I took pre-COVID was a hybrid course offering, just because I wasn't able to commute from the Eastern Shore to class. And I really like. I know I was online, but I really would enjoy the fact that people were still in person for that class. I think there's a lot of students that really appreciate having the option to at least be in person. I know it was with Dr. Bridget Starkey, so they met once a week in person, and then I guess the rest was asynchronous. But I do think it's important to have FaceTime with professors because I think it does kind of foster a good relationship. It was my second class with Dr. Starkey, so I already had sort of that baseline. But for other students, I know that it's important to sort of develop that relationship with professors. I think that in person really fosters that. Like taking online classes now, for me, it is difficult to sort of interact with professors in any kind of meaningful way. You still learn the material, but I think there's a lot of learning that happens between the lines, like after class, before class, and in the discussion that happens in person that you definitely do not get the same quality of discussions online that you do in person. So that's the drawbacks that I see there. But I also, as someone that's benefited from the ability of online classes, I think that's why the hybrid model is really, really effective.
I see. Thank you, Patrick. I really appreciate that feedback.
Thank you.
Others?
Rashad,
Yeah, I had a quick question about the quality of content. I'm not sure actually if in winter there are any labs or any, classes that require some sort of in-person gadget, but how would those be translated to an online format? Because I know that the experience for some labs, even in a hybrid format, are kind of like necessary for the students to learn and grasp the situation. So I was just wondering how that's going to be translated into the online format.
Okay, you are correct, Rashad. I think most classes in winter session are not labs. I mean, in fact, I should say probably there are no lab classes in winter session, with the exception of classes like Science 100. We did have Chemistry 100 recently added in the past year to the schedule. I would say that in the majority of cases, those are classes that are coming through the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, plus a lot of the math classes are offered, stat classes. But in terms of the actual lab classes, we just don't see those during winter session. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you so much for clarification.
Other thoughts? Questions?
I just wanted to speak from personal experience of balancing flexibility with online. I'm more of an in-between of an extrovert and introvert, so I like to have face-to-face time value, and also that separation of work and home is very nice. So if I would have the choice, I would either do in-person or hybrid, only because I benefit my learning experience more through that, because there's more structure to it. But that's more of I guess self-discipline towards the end, but that's what my experience had been.
I see.
Yeah, I agree with what Kai said. It can be difficult to feel like you're in school when your workspace is just 5 feet away from where you're resting and sleeping and everything else. So I think having that mental barrier helps. And I'm also pretty extroverted, so I get very drained taking online classes. And I'm wondering if other people are the same way.
In a similar way, yeah. But I was gonna just jump in. I wasn't gonna share this, but just to balance out the conversation, I would never take an in-person winter course because I just don't want to drive. Like, I just think that the convenience of online classes for courses is just unmatched.
I also agree with that just because of like the fact that out of state students can also take winter classes, and just those who have like jobs and other like things to do during winter, it helps clear people's schedule a lot more when it can just be like the convenience of opening up your laptop versus like an hour commute plus more for other people. And I feel like, yeah, this can also be really nice for the out of state students so they don't have to pay to live on campus for the extra month. I feel like that's kind of unfair for them just to take a winter class because it can be very expensive to live on campus.
You know, and I should probably add too that again, most students take 3 credits or 1 class during winter session. It's unusual for people to take 2, you know, some people will take 2 classes. Back for those who were here when there was a PE requirement, a lot of students would take a class and their PE requirements in winter session, which is why there's a credit limit of 4.5 credits in winter session. You have to work with an advisor to be able to take more than 4.5. So I just wanted to mention that because I didn't talk about that earlier in terms of the schedule that is typical for winter session. So I just wanted to get that out there. Other thoughts? Thank you, Nana.
I see Joshua has his hand raised.
I do, thank you. Zooming out just a bit, just hearing about this potential change worries me from an accessibility standpoint, just because I feel like in conversations like this, we might take a personal standpoint, but we don't consider the people that may have some type of learning disability that would hinder their ability to take instruction from their computer at home. And so even though it may be easier per se, instead of having to commute to campus, still there are some learning disabilities where being in person and having that face-to-face instruction with the professor is going to be beneficial, like ADHD or dyslexia or a number of other things, processing deficits, whatever it may be. So I think that, you know, we have to take that into consideration, and that's my fear, that this conversation can be very personal rather than taking the holistic view of all of the students on campus.
Okay. Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry. So to hop off of that really quickly, have you all had any conversations with Student Disability Services about this potential shift over to an online format for winter?
No, actually, we started with the students. Because again, you know, I think that, you know, it's an idea. It's just something that we're talking about because of COVID and the situation that we have found ourselves in, and looking at the data and seeing how there's this trend with student enrollments. I mean, you know, you decide what classes you want to take. And when we start seeing those online numbers go up and the in-person enrollments go down, you know, it's like, what's going on here? We need to understand this. And so, no, the conversation is starting with you tonight, actually, and because we don't want to make a recommendation that doesn't seem to be what the students want to do. Now, there's other conversations to have, and there's other things to take into account. The weather is one thing, because, you know, again, when we have bad weather and we have to cancel classes, it can be difficult to make those classes up when you see how tight the time is available in the month of January. So there's a lot of considerations, but no, we're starting with you. That's why I'm so interested in getting your feedback. I'm trying to also read the chat as we go because I don't want to miss things that are in the chat.
I'm doing the same thing, Beth.
Yeah, and somebody has referenced an article in the Retriever, so I will want to take a look at that, which I can do on my own time. Other thoughts?
Kind of to like show the other side of what Mena was talking about. So I also have ADHD, and I'm the opposite way. I really prefer synchronous, like especially in-person classes. And I feel like having synchronous online ones for that many hours might be difficult with like the fatigue of just staring at your screen for so long. So personally, I would feel better like having different options instead of fully online.
Okay, great. Are there others that we didn't hear from who would like to share?
Yeah, I would just like to go off of like what Wendy was saying about having different options, because if this is especially for next winter session, I think that transition from fall semester, like being in person, or if people are still staying at home and doing online, like that can be a really difficult place, and that'll be something that's new territory. So if you offer those different options, then I think it'll make that a little bit easier on everyone.
Okay. Did we hear from anyone who wanted to provide feedback?
I can go. Well, honestly, I kind of agree with Wendy and Patrick a little bit with giving students the option to choose, because someone like me, I'm more of a face-to-face kind of person. I don't learn online. It's like basically virtual learning. It's a weak point for me. So having a virtual option is really good, because with many college students working and so on, and transportation, all that, it's really advantageous. And then having a face-to-face option is good, because that some people like they're strong. So like I learn easily from talking with a teacher than from reading from my textbook. So it's good to have those various options.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is the different options seem to be preferable just because it does address various needs of different students. Can I just stop here and say, I really feel for you guys this whole past year. I mean, goodness sakes. I know this is not what any of you signed up for when you came to UMBC, and it just really strikes me how, I've heard so many of you say that you want to have a relationship with the faculty, you want to be in person, and these are hard times. These are hard times.
And as full disclosure, and Beth knows this, my daughter is actually a student at UMBC. So I'm actually seeing this in real time with her. And, she also has ADD, and I've seen her, because I know a couple of people have mentioned that, and she has worked with the disabilities office, so I'm very familiar with them as well. And I think, Beth, if I'm not speaking out of turn here, I think one thing that we also want to point out is that regardless of how we decide to move forward, what we want to make sure is that the academic support that you would get in the fall and the spring and in the summer would also be available to students in the winter. We want to make sure, and we have been in touch with the Academic Success Center with them to see what they can do as far as tutoring, as far as any other academic support. So like Beth said, talks are just starting here tonight, but we do have relationships with all the other support offices and departments on campus. And we would definitely want to make sure that we had their buy-in as well, regardless of what we decide to do in the long run.
Absolutely. I am aware of the time, and I know that you have a very full agenda, and I don't want to take more time than you've been kind enough to give us, Kai. I did put my email in the chat, and Tim, if you wouldn't mind putting your email in as well. What I would like to do is encourage you, if you think about this and you have some thoughts, or you want to write rather than talk on this type of format, do feel free to email us. We would love to hear from you. I see some people I recognize from other types of meetings I've been in over the past year, and it's nice to put names and faces together. And I would encourage you to reach out to us, because we do want to hear from students. We're very big in believing that summer and winter sessions are here to benefit the students. And we want to do all that we can to make sure that we are hearing your feedback and responding accordingly. So I will be glad to take any more comments, but I also don't want to hold you up too much with your busy agenda tonight.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll be sure to send you any more comments or anything we think of in the future later and send them to you. This has been a very meaningful discussion. So thank you so much for coming in and speaking. And like Jessica mentioned in the chat, this meeting is recorded and so is the chat function. So I'll be sure to send the recording of this meeting later on, either today or tomorrow. So you have like a reference point in the future if you need it. But overall, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kai, for the
Greatly
invitation.
appreciated.
And again,
Yep.
thanks to all of you. And do hang in there. You know, things are going to start getting better. I keep believing that. And I wish you a wonderful spring break next week. I hope you can all kind of regenerate and rest and be ready to hit that second part of the spring semester when you get back. So thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I hope that was a thoughtful discussion of future direction of winter session, and I thought it was productive because I didn't think of any of the concerns that y'all have raised. But let's move forward. So our next item in the agenda is the allocation, the SL 38 2021 allocation of funds for the purchase of the free menstrual products program. I'll send the link to the document here in the chat. Overall, this is an allocation for the purchase of both dispensers as well as the menstrual products themselves. Allocation is going to be approximately $2,250, so it's pretty hefty. And I would like to hear everyone's thoughts, if y'all have any. Yeah, is there anything you want to you have any questions about or anything?
I had a question, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
Is this going to be only for the first year, or is this going to be a recurring line item?
So, a great question. This is for the initial investment because we are planning to purchase both the products and dispensers. And the dispensers are pretty hefty. They make up half of it. Afterwards, the hope is that around 1,200 would be the recurring yearly purchase. But that's the most I can say because this pilot is to test how much the restocking process is going to look like. So this is going to count for 4 residential buildings in the apartment community center with the approximate 2 bathrooms in Patapsco, Harbor Hall, 1 in Harbor Hall, 1 in Erickson Hall, and the apartment community center.
I had a follow-up question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, what's up?
Is ResLife taking on any of the financial burden, like any contributions to this initiative of any kind?
Yeah, so RSA is willing to give $300 a year. And that in terms of ResLife, that's technically ResLife money because ResLife gives money to RSA, which RSA then goes and do their own initiatives and events, and so they're willing to do 300.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any more questions?
This is like just related in terms of like precedent, but who funds like all the condoms that are at the front desks? Like who funds that? Is that UHS?
I believe so.
And are they contributing anything for this?
No, because this is more of the residential aspect. That is something I did thought of though, contacting when I did contact Bruce Harmon in the past. He is willing to work more. He just wants to see like how the pilot runs first.
All right.
Yeah, I personally just want to say that like I don't mind for the initial 2,500 to go in, but if we could find other people to kind of help fund us, so not all the financial burden is on us, so UHS for example, or maybe even I3B. I think for future that would be good.
Yeah, no, and I do want to mention that the FYAs that are helping out with this initiative have been very productive in finding various grants and applying to. And I think we're just waiting back on hearing a possible exception of those grants. But we are looking for other I don't want to say revenue, but other sources of money to help fund this in the future. But as like a down payment for initial investment, this is where we thought we could start with.
One last
Yeah.
question.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead, Wendy.
I wouldn't get my hopes up too high for the grant money because we haven't heard back and it's been several months now. But one thing about the dispensers is once we allocate that money, it'll be just like a fixed cost. So we wouldn't have to pay that multiple times. So it would just be like an initial investment and we would ideally not have to replace them.
Could we fundraise?
That's so. Then maybe we should amend the title to like kind of reflect that, like a more general, just like reflect the energy of like just the initial, like kind of like initial, just so like they don't refer to them like this is precedent you set, but instead it's like, oh, we are very clear that this is for starting the pilot or XYZ.
Yeah. So you said amend the title.
I say that with no ideas in mind, but I was just putting it out there.
So are you saying like amend it like to reflect the initial investment?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well, I guess we have to go through the process. I move to amend SL 38-2021 to reflect.
Second. Sorry.
No, you're good. To reflect what I just said, and then Wendy just seconded. So, is there a general consensus? Yes. Okay. Okay. Allocation of funds for the purchase of free menstrual products. And products for the free menstrual products initiative. Whoops.
What about something that just reflects that it's mostly just to start the pilot program?
Maria in the chat said initial investment. It could be, yeah, like initial investment of a pilot or yada yada.
Oh, I like that.
Could also call it like a capital investment.
Cat.
Because it's like the hardware, right? Versus the supplies that go in it. So like those are like or there's another word for it.
Setup costs or like,
yeah, something.
There's a business major in here.
Fixed costs. I say it as no one else is an econ major and confirm.
This could be like installment fees and things of that nature, just like that initial, just the initial cost of purchasing the products. Almost.
Preliminary costs?
Like startup costs?
These are all words I don't know. So, allocation of funds for freelancer products, toilet, startup cost. Cool. Startup expenses. Wonderful.
Did you figure it out? Or no?
Initial expenses.
Initial? Okay. And because it's like you're talking about operating expenses versus capital expenses, right? The operating expenses are the things that you need to spend money on for the day-to-day function of this program. So menstrual products. The capital expenses are like expenses that are for the future benefit of the program. So like the machines, the machinas. I looked that up on the internet.
Since we're still in amendment mode, do we want to also change the body to reflect this pivot? I mean, pivot. So the pilot, or no? I mean, I'm not an author by any means of this, so I'm deferring to Wendy and Kai.
I'd be open to that. Also, there's like this one part that sounds a little bit awkward that I didn't catch the first time I read through it.
Oh, true. I didn't either.
Could I ask a question, or should I just wait until y'all amend?
Wait until after we amend.
Okay.
Ooh, I'm gonna stop touching my computer because it's starting to go a little crazy. It's starting to go a little haywire. Unitary investment of initial capital fund cost.
What was the first word?
Unitary? It's in the chat, Patrick. Could you put it down? That definition is why. Pilot program.
Does that sound okay?
Perfect. In my opinion, I wouldn't know what how else to put it any other way.
Should have been an English major.
You know, STEM is good enough for me. Rashad, you had a question.
Yeah, sorry. This is the last one. Did you all work on setting up a grid starter? And start to fundraise it? How did that go?
A month and a half long battle of no. It got started up when it wasn't supposed to, and then hopefully nobody got in trouble. As well as the Amazon wish list drive. That was set up as well, and then it got taken down. So yeek.
Oh, that's sad. Why?
It's because of the SGA budgetary like system. Correct me if I'm wrong, Candice, but the way that I remember is that we go through a process of our own budget. So asking for funds outside of that is just a little.
Yeah, it's like circumventing your own budgetary process. So you have a budgetary process in which you can allocate funds for projects, and so you should use that process and not ask for students to pay more money for something that you want to do for them.
Is the Grid Starter and the Amazon wish list still up and active? Because
You know, I have no idea.
oh, I hope not.
It's fine.
Oh, they're not? Okay. Cool. Grid Starter was taken down. Dang. Well, we did try though. We did try. Okay. Any more questions before we have to move on? Or points of discussion? Okay. You know what? The poll didn't work well last time. So, is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve SL 38-2021 as amended.
Wonderful. Is there a second? There's a second. All right. Number of senators for, could you please type I in the chat?
I counted 10.
11. All right, wonderful.
Right, 11.
So number of senators for, oh my goodness. Thank you, Wendy. My computer's, Google isn't working for me.
I'm always here as like a backup because I just don't trust your technology.
I don't trust my technology either. Yeah, number of senators for 11, number of senators opposed 0, abstaining is 0, not present is 0, and thus this passes the Senate. Yay! This initiative is almost complete. I can't wait. After a year-long battle. Cool. Thank you all for that. Next up, we have the JR proposed by our lovely Joshua. So Joshua, you have the floor.
Thank you. And can I share my screen?
Of course.
All right, let me pull that. And everyone can see this document, right? Great. So I think a good and quick way of structuring this is to give context, and then I'm just going to read out this document, even though you can read it in the meantime, and then talk about the implications of it. So quick context, the top four last week had a meeting with Lynn Schaefer and Provost Rouse, and the topic of the conversation really was around free hour. They're considering a few different options with free hour, but one is getting rid of it, and then the other is moving it to 3 to 4 rather than keeping it at its current time of 12 to 1. Nothing has been decided yet, but they're looking to do this to help maximize space in the course schedule so that if you free up free hour, then you then can schedule classes during that time, which makes sense, but the thing is, free hour is such a deeply ingrained part of the campus culture that we're fearful that if they do get rid of it, then they will either say, since it worked for the fall of 2021, then why can't we do it in future semesters? And that's something that we definitely want to fight against and make sure that we're putting our voice towards this cause so that they know what our intentions are. So that's the point of this JR, really to just set the tone from the SGA as to where we stand on that recommendation or that consideration of getting rid of free hour. So now I'll move into the JR itself, JR 07-2021. The Student Government Association stands against removing free hour. It reads, whereas in 1970, UMBC students formed a student union and worked with the Student Government Association to advocate for the creation of a free hour to support student assembly, organization, and advising. That's a direct quote from this UMBC magazine article that speaks about free hour. Then it goes on to say, whereas the transition back to in-person instruction in a greater capacity has sparked significant debate regarding the necessity of free hour in order to maximize space in the course schedule. And whereas there is a number of alternative options to maximize in-person instruction and to maintain the integrity of free hour, a staple within the UMBC community, and whereas alternatives to this decision can be implemented, such as changing free hour to non-peak designated times, changing it to that 3 to 4 slot, or establishing college-wide free hours, which would be costs, co-ed, or CNMS doing free hours for those students within that college. It goes on to say, let it be resolved that the SGA expresses its severest trepidation about these ongoing conversations and urges the UMBC administration to find an alternative course of action to maximize in-person instruction. Let it be resolved that the importance of free hour cannot be lost on senior officials when it comes to supporting scholarship, student organizations, and student general wellness. Therefore, let it be resolved that in the worst case scenario, if there is a temporary interruption of this UMBC tradition, the UMBC administration will express in writing the commitment to fully re-implement free hour during the spring of 2022. So that's the document. Going into the third part of this, the implications of this document. One, it's going to be just expressing our stance on these conversations and letting the administration know that we aren't in support of them necessarily. The second is it's also going to be a sign to the UMBC student body that we did speak up against them changing free hour or getting rid of free hour, which one, from an advocate stance, that's ideal, but then also we want to make sure that students know that we have them in mind when we're entering these conversations and that we're following up on them. And then thirdly, and this really was my main fear, and this is kind of why I'm rushing it right now, but I want to make sure that this gets out this week just because we have spring break next week, and then the course schedule goes out on the 22nd, or it's scheduled to go out on the 22nd, which means that at that point decisions are made up and it's nearly impossible to reverse those decisions. So my thinking is that if we get this out tomorrow night after the Finance Board approves it, hopefully they do, then we will be able to send it over to the Provost's office and have them see where we stand, and then get that one expressed statement saying that they're going to re-implement free hour, and then also they can keep this in the back of their mind as they make these decisions in the final hours. And I haven't heard of any final decision coming out. Rashad might have some more details, but that's really the intention behind this document and the implications that would come from it. So happy to take questions from anyone. And Rashad, you know a lot about the topic, so if you see any gaps that I missed, please feel free to fill them in.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me? Hello?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think, no, Joshua, I think you really covered it all. The fear is if it goes away now, it won't return. So this is what we're trying to kind of prevent, right? And Vice President Schaefer just reached out to set up a meeting. So, with this piece of document, we kind of like have it officially stamped that we're in support of free hour returning after the fall semester. So, yeah.
I just like to point out that I really like how you defined in this JR that the UMBC administration will express in writing. Like that's like accountability measure right there. So I love that. But I think it's great. Mena has a question in the chat. Mena says, I'm confused on why they want to remove it in the first place.
Yeah, great question. Let me see if I can pull it. There's a document that I found the other day.
I can just speak on that a little bit.
Oh, go ahead, Julius.
Part of it, I'm a part of classroom committee. Part of it, the main reason really is just the safety. It's a safety hazard for the most part. They fear that since that time block is usually when most people go to eat lunch in the commons and whatnot, it'll be like a super spreader effect that would happen. And just all those people could do, like, what it looks like at that time. Yeah, y'all know, y'all been on campus. You know what it looks like. So I could see in that regard why they have concerns about free hour at the moment.
Yeah, it's that, and they're trying to, because you have to keep up social distancing, they're trying to make sure that they have as many spaces available. And then also here is something that I pulled from the provost's office, put this line right here, 3 hours of free hour. That times 127 classrooms equals 381 unused instructional hours. And I thought that was a pretty interesting statistic as to the argument to get rid of free hour. I think that in this document emphasizes the like how students emphasize the importance of free hour. But this is one thing that I pulled back thought was pretty interesting.
Neil Benet, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, you mentioned that they were planning on moving it to 3 to 4, right? So what would be honestly the difference if like the concern is like super spreaders or the amount of people out? What's the difference between that time frame? Is there like something they're planning for that, or?
That's a great question, and one that I don't know the complete answer to. So if someone else was speaking, and can answer that.
I think
Great.
someone said like it was like lunchtime, so that's also like people would be like lined up for lunch and things like that. But I don't know. That's like kind of just hearsay.
Yeah, and also, like, especially with echoing what Z said in the chat about how it's possibly inconvenient for commuters. Same with anyone who like has to work or has other like responsibilities after a certain time.
I'm trying to think who was in the space scheduling committee. I think Jack Seuss and Dr. Morera of the IT steering committee were heavily involved in that. So if you wanted to reach out to them, I'm sure there's some emails in the report that you could probably get some clarifications on. So I'm sure they would like to talk to you or us.
But in regards to this JR, are there any more thoughts or questions anyone have? Joshua, I think this is pretty astounding. Like, it's pretty great, top notch, chef kiss. Yes, echoing what Wendy said. Thank you so much for working on this. We really appreciate it because this is very thoroughly thought out. So, if there are no more questions and no more points of discussion to be mentioned, is there a motion on the floor?
Yeah, I move to approve JR 07-2021.
Second.
And there's a second. All right. Number of senators for, could you please type I in the chat? Oh, I have to also. Okay.
We're at 10.
10, yes. We are missing somebody. Okay. Last call. Number of senators for. 10. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, please work. Please work. Oh, something's happening.
I typed it, no worries.
Thank you so much. Number of senators for is 10. Oh, I'm
Mati
sorry.
just voted. I'm going to change it to 11 if that's okay.
Yeah, that's more than fine. Number of senators for is 11. Number of senators opposed is 0. Abstaining is 0. And
Kai, you accidentally just deleted the entire box for the vote.
Oh,
Do you
my
want to control Z that maybe? I can
Okay.
fix it with low damage control.
Let's see if this works. Control Z.
Maybe try it one more time.
Did it work? It worked, I think. Ugh, Google is like freaking out on me, so I'm just gonna leave it alone.
I think I fixed it.
All right, with that, this passes the Senate. Joshua, please keep us updated on what happens tomorrow. But yeah, thank you for showing this to us.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to go to class. Well, get some dinner, then go to class. Have a good one.
Good luck.
Bye.
Okay. Let's move on to our initiative updates. Oh, my computer's doing a thing. Jessica, do you mind giving us your update? Because I know you will be meeting with the communications department soon.
Okay, so updates. Yeah, I'm gonna be very quick because I have meeting in like 9 minutes, but it's okay. So basically, it's all like literally my updates are I have meetings, including the one after this, as well as a meeting with I3. They finally got back to me because they hired a new person. But I'm meeting them, and basically, I think the goal of what I want to do during that meeting is to just review over like our social media, but also like maybe even like a couple of our documents or something, just to make sure that like it's all like up to standards is what it should be for DEI related things. Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye.
Yeah, let us. Oh my gosh, my computer is freaking out.
Kai, do you want me to call on people or something while you
Yes,
figure it out?
please.
Okay, I'm just gonna go down the participants list. So Kai, you want to start?
Sure. I bought these baskets. It's pretty dope. I'm looking at a blank screen, so I hope y'all can still hear me. But I dressed up in business casual, went to the dollar store, bought 5 baskets as a placeholder until these dispensers arrive, because they're kind of backlogged at the moment, and command hooks. So that's our creative process. Something that I did want to say to update y'all is that we did create me and the FYs did create a spreadsheet of how we're going to keep track of data in terms of restocking, as well as the comms department. I think John actually created a nice little graphic for the QR code to be placed. And there's one tweak that I wanted to add on there is that our collaboration with RSA, but other than that, it looks pretty great. So that's what I have to update. Yeah.
Next I see Julius.
Okay. For me, I have a meeting with Office Admissions again on Friday to go over the proposal. They dropped a lot of recommendations and conversation, but they wanted to have another meeting to talk with me about it again on Friday. So that's pretty much what I'm focusing on for this week. Getting ready for that meeting.
Machi? Oh, I'm sorry, Maria. I don't know my alphabet.
All right, so for me, last week I got in touch with an FYA that Zach recommended with me, so I'm gonna work with her on like connections and reaching out for the transit initiative. Then I spoke with Kai and B, and then I guess we told me about like the transit log stuff, and I spoke with Reese and told him the same thing. And so like I guess I have an idea of creating a transit app. So Reese told me to look at the transit log first, and then when I look at it and I see like compare and contrast like what I would like to add in the UMBC transit app and what the transit log has that I can just adapt into that. Then I'll book an appointment with Reese maybe by Friday or like early next after the spring break, and to see what we can go from there. So yeah.
Thanks. And now Maria, sorry about that.
No worries. So I got together with the rest of the students about the Transfer and International Student Initiative. And later this week, we will be meeting with Chloe Terrell from OCSS to discuss structuring events centered around inclusivity. But something that I'm personally interested is in promoting like some sort of like fair or newsletter that comes out at a specific time that specifically has like networking opportunities for transfer students and international students, because of like, you know, our international students, their sponsorship status kind of has an effect on jobs that they can get. And so that's something that I'm going to be following up with and trying to make progress before spring break and after spring break. And then the STEM outreach session is going to happen this Friday. So the plan with that is just to record it and have it in a place where people can access it and know about those types of scholarships that are offered at UMBC.
That's so cool. Also, if I'm going too fast and if anyone wants to like speak up in between people I call, just unmute yourself. Next is Mena.
Hi, so for my Compost Initiative, I am meeting up this Friday with Kayla from Office of Sustainability to work out the details for our outreach portion of the initiative, just to make sure that students don't they know how to compost and that they don't contaminate. So we have to plan that out. And for the whole activities fee thing that I partnered up with Rashad to do. Is Rashad still here? Yeah. So we met up with them on Friday, and it was a very interesting conversation. So we are planning our next steps now because there was a couple things that they told us that we're not completely sure. Was like we just wanted to fact check them because like there was a lot of things where like they kept putting the USM system as a whole like accountable for like increases in like fees and stuff instead of them. And there was this other couple things we want to fact check and to see if their data about how if like actually having athletes increases the admission rate. Sorry, like like the amount of students that want to come to UMBC, and we want to like see there's data for that so we can actually basically just next steps. Because from our meeting, we don't think there's anything for a reason for them to decrease the prices besides students not really liking that. And sooner or later, we want to put out a survey with you guys, the ones that you guys started that so we can reach out most of the students and see what they feel about this. And then at least we can come up with a resolution for the Senate saying that we don't really support the fee increases. So that students at least, because they're going to meet up mid-March to start like finalizing like everything about the fee increases. So we want to make sure that like at least before then we can have basically some like student like displeasure basically. We just want to make sure that they understand that students really don't like that so they can at least reconsider something. But yeah.
Okay. My computer's still freaking out on me. But Mena, that's really interesting. Yeah. Is there a deadline that you want to set for this Qualtrics survey?
I want to set it for this Friday so we have something for spring break, but I'm not gonna lie, this week is like very hectic for me, and I'm gonna try to keep up with everything. But I'll talk to Rashad because we do want to make sure that we have some results by the time we come back from spring break so that we can stall their plan for a little bit. But the thing is, we still like the committee, the student advisory committee, like the students, we still have to meet up and finalize everything before they like like the administration themselves finalize everything. So the thing is, there's no set date, but it's like the whole like, oh, maybe this week we'll meet up. So yeah, when still I'll be able to know before they finalize stuff, basically, to like if in case I need to like rush anything. But I think we still have a little bit of time, and yeah.
Okay.
And then we want to fact check a couple things first before we like send out the survey, but we might have to like change that if we see that we're not really getting some responses. And then the article, Rashad interviewed interviewed for the retriever, so that should also be getting out there. I'm not sure when, maybe Rashad knows, but that should be getting out, so at least some students are being made more aware.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check back in bases with you maybe around like Friday or Thursday. But wonderful. Nail of the day.
Yeah, so sorry, not my brain turning off. Today me and B did the lead her shop problem at like 12 to 1. Or was it 1 to was it 12 to 1 or was it 1 to okay, it doesn't really matter. It's done. We did that today and it went really well. And that was kind of like my initiative up to this point, so now it's done. I don't really know what I'm planning on next. If anyone needs help with an initiative, I'll kind of be um like an assistant or something. Yeah, Wendy, do you need something? Just let me know, basically. I'll like do anything. I kind of just don't have anything in mind, and it's midterm week, so my mind is like off right now. So that's basically like what's been going on.
Yay, congratulations for the success of the Lead Her Shop. I forgot to go to it. I wanted to go to it. I didn't realize it was so soon. I thought it was gonna be later this month, but congratulations. Patrick.
Hey, so this week, I reached out to Morgan State and Towson's SGAs, just kind of seeking some information on if they have any senators that are interested or are already working on the Divest platform. I haven't heard back from them. I reached out kind of late in the week, so what I'm going to try to do is follow up this like earlier this week, probably tomorrow, with like some emails to some like direct senators instead of just like a broad email to their regular thing, like their regular line. But other than that, I'm hoping the JR we can introduce that probably next meeting. I'll talk to Wendy about that and see if we can coordinate and make sure it looks good. But yeah, hope to get that done soon.
Sure thing, sure thing. Can't wait. Thanks, Patrick. Reese.
Yeah, so last week, Rashad and I, we had a meeting with Candace Dodson-Reed, and she said that it looked great, and it's not really her place to sign off on these kind of things, but that she would definitely champion our calls on the back end. And on that front, we will be meeting, Rashad and I will be meeting with Len, who is AVP of Facilities Management, and then we'll also be meeting with Dr. Young tomorrow. So that is where we will hopefully iron out any kind of disagreements or just questions about our proposal, and hopefully that will be one of the last obstacles that we have, unless there's like a lot of things brought up during the meeting. So yeah, we're looking forward to that meeting. And then for Kai and Wendy, like for the QR code, like I can give you a URL, like either on SGA website to like either embed the spreadsheet or redirect to the spreadsheet just so it's like human typable, but also so it opens up the possibility of using a map in the future, but using the same QR code because it would just redirect to the same site. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, Reese. That map. Do you think you could come in? You know what, I'll touch back base with you afterwards. But thank you so much. We would really appreciate that with that help. Wendy.
So this week has also been super busy with me and ASB, but I did start putting together like a draft of best practices for student engagement in online classrooms. I'm going to send that. I think this is the right link. Hold on. Nope, that's ASB doc. Just kidding. There we go. Yeah, ignore the first one unless you care about transformative justice. But I have another meeting with the working group for Divest at Umbc on Friday from 2 to 3, and then I'm just gonna talk to Patrick, so hopefully he can join that too. And then I'm also trying to get in contact with the other group from like the administrative side, so like the group that Dr. K was meeting with initially with Chris Steele. So I will update you all to see how that goes.
Cool. Z. Z, yeah, if you're there.
Kai, I don't know if you can see the WebEx chat right now, but they said that they're waiting to hear back from communications.
Okay. For social media outreach for the health fair? Yes. Okay. Um, has uh has the Women's Center and the other stakeholders gotten back to you yet about being in part of the health fair? UHS is attending and the counseling center should. Okay. Well, if you have any more trouble gathering more panelists, feel free to CC me in that email as well as Wendy, Candace, and B, and we'll be sure to have your message read across. Cool, 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 cool. All right. I believe that's and everybody. Y'all are stellar and amazing, but you already know that. And I hope y'all take the spring break to decompress and enjoy a little bit. So, finishing up initiatives, are there any SGC updates?
I mean, I did have an SGC. You want me to share?
Yeah.
Okay, I had a blast today filling in for Maria in the IT steering committee. It was a very full meeting. And let me just share my screen because I took a few notes, and also the Office of Institutional Advancement, they shared off a cute little tool that I want to share. I think it's really, really fun. All right, sorry, you can see my screen, yeah? So I can barely see my screen. Okay, yeah. So, okay, I see a thumbs up. Thank you, Maria. So the first was this faculty expert search tool, which I could talk about, but I'll just share. I can share my notes later. Actually, hold on. It's in the SGA drive, but also. But yeah, I'll just show off this tool because I think it's really cool and it's very interesting. So basically, it's this publicly accessible portal that anyone is able to do to look up research faculty, research tenure or tenure track faculty to see what they're working on. And they've sold this as a way for media to find experts to interview, to talk about, or for potential grad students to look for professors to mentor them when they're applying, or other things like that. So just like a quick thing, like you can search by name or by like topic, and then the whole point is that it brings a lot of their information from their like their tenure end of year reports or whatever like that, but also they're allowed, it's almost like a social profile where they're allowed to just kind of edit it and they put their picture, about research interests, teaching interests, intellectual contributions. So they sold this as also a way to increase collaboration within the faculty at Umbc so they can find other people who are experts and whatever. And so this is a really cool thing. They didn't really talk about undergraduate research, undergraduate use case, but I thought finding research opportunities would be pretty applicable use case for this. So I might try to email Dinah, who was the speaker, and yeah, you guys can check that out later. You all, just because I think it's really cool. And they talked about virtual desktop environments. This is interesting if you have like a computer that's a little bit less beefy, you can still do a lot of things. And also for some of the more computationally niche courses, they have the software that you need. And they'll be doing stuff. Yeah, we could share it on social media, Monty. And then this is important also because they're thinking about how the labs work in COVID, but also post-COVID, just because like by this point, the university does have a requirement that people have a laptop, which is good because that can be in the university requiring it. They can allow financial aid to be used for laptops. So by this point, most people would be able to have a laptop, and thus maybe we could reclaim those classrooms for other those labs for classrooms or other purposes like that. So they were talking about that. You can check out how to do a virtual desktop environment if you want to. And then they just talked about like pivot and other stuff like that. But the faculty search tool is the real cool stuff. Yeah, let me stop here. Cool beans.
Cool. Are these did you upload these notes to the Sgc folder?
Indeed, I did.
Thank you. It makes filling out these monthly reports a lot easier on my end. That's really cool though. Having more accessible like research info search tool. I wonder if GSA was invited to that conversation as well, so they can utilize it for their admissions gain as well.
Yeah, I did not see a representative from GSA at the IT steering committee, but it's a good point.
Okay. I'll be sure to echo this to Samantha in our faculty steering committee meeting. Cool. Are there any other SGCs? Thanks, Reese, for that. C'est la vie. All right. If there are no more SGC updates, let's move on to announcements. Are there any announcements? Anyone have?
Monthly reports due the 21st.
Naila Benet.
Yeah, thanks, Rashad. Basically, I hate to plug this again. I hate promoting things, but I have my community event this Wednesday at 1. So if you all would like to come, or you know someone who would be interested in going, you can add it to your calendar through this link. I literally have no words in my brain. I don't know what's going on right now. But yeah, just a reminder that my Wednesday. Thank you. I'm literally losing my mind. I had 2 midterms today, so yeah, you can add this to your calendar through the link. And if you know anyone who would like to come, or if you want to come, or if you want to have any questions about it, or give me any tips on facilitating, then please let me know. Thank you. And I don't know what Mershad said. Mershad, you might want to repeat what you said earlier.
Monthly reports are due on the 21st.
Yes. Thank you, Kai.
But I'll be sure to fill that out and send it over to all of y'all through WebEx Teams so you can look at it before comms do anything with it. Or somebody in the executive branch. Are there any more announcements? Rashad's going up. All right. My brain is kind of mushed too, so I will gavel. I adjourn the meeting at 7:14 p.m. And let me stop recording this time.